Hello, this is Donna Marie with another episode of the Best Life of Wellbeing podcast, which is designed to encourage you to focus on your overall well-being by stepping out of your comfort zone and stepping into embracing your whole life in order to live fully and die peacefully. Today's conversation is with Poiette Noel. We'll be discussing business success tips, travel, and a whole lot more. Let us begin.
My name is Poiette Noel, and I am currently the founder and owner of NMD Maid Services, which is a residential and commercial cleaning company that services all of the DMV and Baltimore metro area, as well as all the counties in between. And I am also the founder and owner of Good Vibes Dinner Parties, which is an event planning company that focuses on intimate dinner parties, planning dinner parties for like birthdays, special occasion. It could be anything from like a graduation, anniversary, uh, just all dinner parties all around. And then I work part-time for Haitian Nomad as a brand ambassador. And what that means is I do a lot of like background marketing, creating social media content, just kind of like being that person to push the brand out there, getting in front of people's face, bring customers, bring awareness to the brand and bring customers to us. And every now and then, depending on like the destination, I may assist with like building the itinerary. If it's like, a place that I've always loved or always wanted to go, and it interests me, I'll like suggest some activities for us to do. So I do assist with itineraries from time to time. Those are the three main like entrepreneurial things that I am working on. I also have a full-time job that is like my 9 to 5 daytime activity. And then after work is when I kind of do all of my personal stuff and all the fun things. So those are the main things I got going on right now. It sounds like a lot, but I pride myself in being a very disciplined and consistent and being able to multitask really well. So I kind of just block out days for working on certain things.
I'm amazed by the amount you travel and you're a full-time employee. How do you manage all of that? You said you're very disciplined and you block out time, but you got a lot of energy too, sis.
It's funny you say that because I don't feel like I have a lot of energy. Well, but I will say that working from home since March of last year, because of COVID, has been like a game changer, time wise. So I can't say that I would have been as productive as I've been in the last 12 months if I was not working from home 100%. Because part of like my day when I was going to the office is like commuting and then commuting back home. And, I go to the gym after work. By the time I get home, it's like 7, 8 o'clock. So there wasn't a lot of free time when I was going to work full time. But now I'm able to literally like be home all day long and get done what I need to get done. So, if I'm working on work stuff from like 9 to 12, knocking out a bunch of stuff, and then I can, take in some other things. So it's really having all that time now, being home, that has allowed me to kind of like flourish in the last year.
Yeah, it's helped me too. But I still look at you and it's like, man, she needs to bottle up some of that energy and share it with people because
Oh, thank you.
and that's when we're looking at social media, you only get one picture and
Hmm. Hmm.
the picture that you want people to see, but you still be rolling.
I will say like prior to COVID, I was traveling so much. So that was kind of like my main focus. So now that like, I had kind of cut back on the traveling, especially during COVID, we couldn't, travel to many places. I wasn't traveling as much. So I had just had more time on my hand in general.
Can you tell me a little bit about No Dust Maid Services.
So no more Dust Maid Services is a cleaning company that I started in February of last year. And we service residential and commercial clients. So we do homes as well as like offices, doctor's offices, event space, hair salons, art galleries. Those are most of like our commercial jobs. So yeah, so it's a cleaning company that I started randomly, completely random, last year. I was in a entrepreneur group on Facebook in January, and they have like these cohorts every few months or so where they teach you how to start a service-based business. So it could be anything from laundry service, landscaping, maid service. So I chose maid service because I feel like it's something that I'm knowledgeable about. I've used maid services in the past. I feel like I'm a very detailed cleaner in general, just when I'm cleaning my own home. So I feel like it was something that I could manage. So they essentially gave us like the blueprint to setting it up. And we had to be on calls every night at 9 p.m. for an hour, just kind of like going over like all the different parts of like starting your business, like how to get customers, like how to set up your website, how to market, how to hire staff, things like that, what type of services to offer. So I went through that entire thing in January, and February. I kind of spent some time tweaking the things that I needed to update. And then we launched February 29th. And then shortly after, COVID hit and everything was on lockdown. So things were really slow. The first, I want to say from March to April, like pretty slow. Most of my customers were like either my friends or like friends of friends. Like my friends have referred some of their friends. And then business started to pick up. And then the George Floyd situation happened the end of May. And, the country was just kind of like in an uproar at that point. So a lot of people were like heavily focused on only using Black owned businesses and supporting Black owned businesses. So there was literally like a spike in like through like my Google Analytics, they'll show you like the type of things people search for that leads them to your business. And there was like a huge spike in Black owned cleaning businesses that people were searching on Google. So Google and Yelp, and there may have been another platform, allowed businesses to kind of put like a badge, like this is Black owned. Kind of like a lot of places, I think a lot of platforms allow you to put like woman owned or minority owned. So Google and Yelp allowed the businesses to add Black owned to their profile. And that's why business like skyrocketed after that for us, because people were specifically searching for Black owned, and I was like one of the few that showed up in the search results in this area. So business took off after that, and like literally we've just been like growing every month. I tell people every day is a new day. You think you have something down one day, and tomorrow it's a completely different experience with a completely different customer. It's like a newborn baby. So, when you first have a baby, you have to spend all this time, nursing them and getting them on a sleep schedule. So, eventually they become like 2 or 3 and they're a little more independent. So it's kind of like now my baby is 1 year old, and, she does a bunch of stuff on her own, but there's still a lot of, unpredictable things that can happen any day. So I'm enjoying it. Like it's watching the growth, and now like being comfortable with the staff I had, because it took a while for us to really get like stable staff wise. Now being comfortable with the staff I have, I can see us being like it being more sustainable, as far as like easier to manage every month as we continue to grow. So that's essentially it. I'm like a one-man shop right now. I run everything. I do all of the hiring, interviewing. I delegate, so customers can either go online or they can call us to book a cleaning service. And I delegate the jobs to my staff, depending on their location and their expertise. Um, and then I, for the most part, do all the customer inquiries, complaints. We just transitioned to a new booking system, so I had to spend a lot of time teaching myself that. And now there's a learning curve for the staff, so I'm like spending a lot of time teaching them how to use it. But eventually, we'll get to a point where it's just kind of like it runs on its own. Eventually, I'm planning to hire like a business manager that is essentially be what I am right now, as a W-2 employee. So all of my staff are 1099 contractors, but I do want to hire like a W-2 employee business manager, to kind of run everything the way I'm running it now, so that I can like branch out and do more and add more locations and things of that nature.
So speaking of locations, you said you service DC, Virginia, and Maryland?
Yeah. So all of the DMV, DC, Washington DC, Northern Virginia, and then in Maryland, pretty much all of the counties from here to Baltimore. So Baltimore City and County, Howard County, Anne Arundel County, Montgomery, Prince George's, and Charles County.
How many staff?
Those, yeah, it's a large area. So I based it on like where I went to service. I based it on where I had staff.
Yeah.
So I have staff in all of those areas, pretty much all of what people consider the DMV.
Yeah. Okay. Well, congratulations on 1 year.
Thank you. I can't believe it's time has flown. I actually can't even believe like it's been 1 year. Like now, like my Facebook memories are popping up from like the stuff I posted last year, and it was like, oh my God, we were like newbies then with this like basic flyer. Looking for customers, and now we're like have blown up. This month alone we're closing out with this has actually been the highest month since we've been in business. We're closing out with about 85 bookings.
So I'm excited for you, honestly.
Thank you.
And the more you talk about the growth, how do you manage that when you're traveling? I guess it's not location dependent, but I'm sure there's some aspects of it that are location dependent. Am I right?
Yeah. So that's actually a challenge that I'm still trying to kind of nail down. Because depending on where I go, my phone service is not great. And a lot of customers still prefer to book over the phone. So I do have issues where I'll go somewhere and customers are calling and I can't take their booking. And I did have an assistant at one point, who kind of got all of my like documents and like SOPs together so that I could start training, basically like virtual assistants to answer the phone. So that's on my like to-do list. This like finishing out this month is to hire a virtual assistant to just specifically handle like phone booking customers over the phone. But it is difficult, being that I'm a one-man shop, and especially if I want to go on vacation, I want to actually enjoy vacation. Like I can't spend time answering customers all the time.
Yeah.
So eventually I'll just have someone take over my role, especially when I'm traveling, so I don't have to actually worry about that. But management wise, I can manage the business from anywhere. Because for the most part, I do everything on my phone. If I'm not on my computer during the day, everything on my phone. I can, create a booking over my phone. I can update a booking. I can pretty much run the entire business from my phone.
So I got questions about what would you share with, and I just want to say the purpose of me sharing these podcasts is, one, to encourage people, and two, and I guess, no, I'll start. One is because I want to highlight people who are living their best life.
Oh, thank you.
I admire, just all that you're doing, and you're really young doing it. And that is encouraging to me and to other people as well. I see you're running. I've seen you running before, so you're exercising. Like I said, you're energizing, so you're obviously eating food that keeps your energy going. You're
I'm trying.
Yes, you're focused and determined to accomplish your goals. So you are truly, to me, living your best life of well-being.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
like to feel like I'm living my best life as well. I think I am.
And not only are you living your best life, but you're impacting the lives of others. Like, first of all, we talked about you having those solid relationships, but you also
Mhm.
have employees. And speaking of employees, I saw your recent post, how you have taken on your own, taking it up on your, you've shared her situation and reached out to your network to help her in her situation. So you're touching not just that person's life, but the family of that person as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I feel like the staff that I have gotten within the last, I would say 4 or 5 months have been like amazing, like amazing. So the thing with this specific staff member is she came to me in, I want to say maybe January or February. And I initially wasn't going to hire her because she didn't speak English. And I personally don't have an issue with cleaners that don't speak English because, they're there to do a job. They don't need to speak English. But a lot of my customers give me a hard time about it, or you get to situations where the cleaner's in the home doing stuff and the customer is trying to talk to them and the cleaner doesn't understand what they're saying. Then the customer's getting frustrated. So I was just a little hesitant. I did not want to hire her. And she, like, I don't want to say begged me, but she essentially was just kind of like, look, in Spanish, obviously, she was translating, using a translator. Like, I can get the job done. I will make sure that I always have someone with me, a partner that speaks English. You don't have to worry about like communication issues at all. Basically, like, please, I really need this job. So I was like, okay, like, let's try it out. Normally before I hire staff, after like they go through all the paperwork and the background check, they do a test clean, which is, they'll get assigned a job and, I'll come in and check how they did with the job. So she, showed up on time, went in, did her thing, and did a great job. And she ended up being like one of my best cleaners, like best cleaners. And she was just like on time. She was disciplined. She followed instructions. Like, it was like a breath of fresh air. And then I would say this month, maybe towards the beginning of this month, or maybe around the 15th ish of this month, she texted me and was just kind of like, hey, I didn't want to tell you because I was afraid I would lose my job, but I'm pregnant. So I'm thinking like, okay, no worries. Like, you won't lose your job. Just let me know when you want your last day to be. And then when you want to come back so I can, just make sure I kind of like backfill her position. I'm thinking she's going to say like July. She's like, my last day is the 25th and my baby is due on the 30th. So I'm like, this woman has been working pregnant this entire time,
Yeah.
like 9 months pregnant at this point. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, you sure? Like, I don't have to assign you any jobs. Like, you can take as much time as you need. And she was just kind of like, well, like I want to come back in like 40 days. And I'm like, look, like that's nothing after having a whole baby. So I knew the fact, like when I put two and two together, like how she kind of like begged me for the job and like, tried to work until like 5 days before her due date. I'm like, it's a money thing. I get it. Cause they don't get paid. They're contractors. So they don't get paid if they don't work.
Right.
So I'm like, it's a money thing. I get it. Like most of America is that way. You know what I mean? So I was just kind of like, all right, I honestly, when I told the story on Facebook, I had no idea that people were going to offer to help with like gifts and financial contributions. Like I had no idea. Like it completely blew me away. So when I posted it yesterday that, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday that she had her baby, like I literally received like $900.
Wow. That is
Yes.
awesome.
I'm like completely blown away and I'm like super inspired that like so many women saw fit for, I have to give some money. I have to give something. Can I send a gift? Can I, you know what I mean? But I know she's probably going to like be blown away, but it's just, I think it's just awesome, like an awesome community. Yeah, it's a big amount, and I'm sure it will help like tremendously. And just like knowing that like everyone just like pitched in to someone that they don't even know, you know what I mean? I just think it was amazing. Like I'm so inspired. I'm just so taken back by all the love and support. Even like people, I have people on my friends list that I don't even really know. I may have never even met them in real life. We maybe just like had a conversation about travel or something in a group, and they're my friends list, and they like donated too. And I'm like, they don't know me, they don't know her. And I just think that is so amazing. Like it's nice to see people still care about others, still care about strangers, are willing to help when they can. Like I just think it's dope.
That's one of the things I appreciated about Haitian Nomad, when being on trips and being able to contribute.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that about Haiti.
Yeah, we've done a few like give back projects or just helping families out in general, like when we've gone on trips. And that's always like an awesome thing to do, and just like amazing feeling just to watch, you know, something that maybe little to us is like life changing for someone else. Like to be able to do that is truly a blessing. And I am interested in like starting basically like a nonprofit section of my business. So it would strictly be focused on just kind of like community outreach, like events for giving back, and like assisting like new moms with like getting back on their feet, like into the workforce. Because unfortunately, and I know this too many examples of this situation where after a woman has a child, like either people treat her differently at work, they give her a hard time about taking time off to spend with her new baby. Like women have to constantly choose between their career and their baby. And it's the craziest thing to me. It's the saddest thing to me. And I'm just like, I never ever want to be the type of employer where my staff feels like, you know, they got to pick between themselves, like between their job and their family. Like that's just not like humane. Like it's just, and it is so common. And like I know friends who had stopped working because they just couldn't manage both. You know, friends who had to go back to work like 5 weeks after giving birth, like having a C-section. Like it's insane. And you know, some of these employers are so inconsiderate, and they just don't care about you. So I hope to never be that type of employer.
So can you share advice for someone? I know you started with an entrepreneur group, but share advice and maybe tips or any wisdom with a person who is interested in starting a business and has no idea about branding and marketing or where to start. How would you advise a person to get started, and what mindset do you think a person might need to actually be an entrepreneur?
Sure. This is that's a great question, because I actually talk about this very often with a lot of my friends. Especially like what I know now versus like back then, when I first started. But the first thing I would say is that do not listen to other people at all. Because you know, and I don't know if this is just like a human thing or a society thing, but people are so quick to discourage you, or just, you know, kind of respond in a negative way about your idea, about your plans, your goals. And I just do not recommend you speaking to someone like, or soliciting advice from others. That's really what I want to say. I do not advise that at all. I tell people all the time, like, if you have an idea and you want to start something, like, start it. And understand that like it does not have to be perfect. Like all the major brands, all the companies that we've grown to love, like they did not start off perfect. You know what I mean? Like they, as they went along, they continued to build and tweak things, whether it's change their logo, change their branding. You know, you learn as you go along, and you do new things as you go along, and you take the lessons learned from when you started to improve and essentially just continue to like be a better brand. So I always tell people, like, do not solicit advice from others, because other people are going to discourage you and, you know, tell you it's a silly idea, or ask you how you're going to make money and why would you do that of all things, or tell you don't even have any experience in that area, why would you want to do that? Like, do not solicit advice from anyone. Just start somewhere. Now, especially like in this internet era, there's a ton of information on the internet. So whether you are joining Facebook groups pertaining to what you're interested in or what you're trying to create, or you're just kind of Googling, like, you know, how to create a product to sell or whatever kind of thing. There's tons of information on the internet, and like that to me should be your starting point, not your boyfriend or your cousin or asking them what they think about this idea, because the reality is not everyone has the creativity and like the what's the word I want to use, like not everyone is able to take initiative to start things. So the fact that you want to start something, you're already ahead of most. Most people are just satisfied with their current situation. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being satisfied with your current situation. But to start something and want to branch out on your own, like it takes a certain type of person to do that. And you're already ahead of the game if you want to start something. And then just in general, I would say, I feel like I talk about this all the time. Like, so for example, I want to, one of the main reasons I had started my cleaning business before it kind of like blew up the way it did is that I wanted to make additional income to start real estate investing. So me not knowing anything about real estate investing, I joined a bunch of Facebook groups. I was in a ton of, what's that app? Clubhouse. I was in a ton of Clubhouse. Is it Clubhouse?
Yes.
It's Clubhouse. Okay, I feel like I said it wrong. I was in a ton of Clubhouse rooms about real estate investments for like 3 months, because with Clubhouse you would just sit there and listen in, like, and it's like they're just, you know, spitting jewels and sharing all this information for free. And, you know, the real estate groups that I'm in and on Facebook, people are just constantly posting things. And I'm like, this has given me so much information that I don't know I would have necessarily received if I just like asked a person, you know what I mean? So I always tell people, like, use the things that are free and you can access right now. So social media, just looking up Facebook groups that are pertaining to what you want to create. Clubhouse is an amazing app. Like literally people give so much free information on there. It's amazing. So like when people were like talking so negatively about it, I'm like, so y'all not using it for the right thing. Like,
right.
You got to know how to use your resources and how to take information from it. So I recommend anybody want to start anything in general as an entrepreneur is Facebook groups and Clubhouse. Trying to think of any more tips. And then just like in general, just like take your time. Like there's no rush. And like I said, like you start and you will learn as you go along. Like there's actually beauty and like satisfaction in learning as you go along. Like enjoy the process and know that your business will always be a continuous learning process, a continuous growth thing. It's not like you put out a product and it's like, boom, now we're done kind of thing. You're always going to be learning more, figuring out more, just, coming up with new ideas, adding to it. You may want to tweak your branding. Like I know eventually, when I started, I made my own logo, like in Canva. And then I kind of just created my own like branding or whatever. But now that I have like more money and like more time, like I can actually spend time or pay someone to totally rebrand my business. And it's not an issue or whatever. So it's like you don't have to have everything in place. Like my website now versus when I first started, I think I had like maybe 4 links total on my website, like book now and maybe like like how to contact us and then maybe like a help section. Now I have like our COVID protocols, our terms of agreement, our service areas, what type of services we provide. Like I have like maybe 9 or 10 different links. And it's just kind of like, you don't need to have everything in place. Like you have time to continue to grow it and continue to add to it and continue to make it better. And to me, like that's how you truly like create something that's meaningful and something that lasts.
So one of the things you said first when we started this conversation is you committed. You obviously schedule time for your business. You carve out time,
Mm-hmm.
and you capitalize on that time that you've carved out.
Yep. I did something for my business every single day.
Yeah.
Even if it was just kind of like updating the wording. I didn't like how, you know, like I guess they call it copy, which is like copyright, like your wording on your website is called copy. Like every day I was doing something, I was updating my wording or, you know, I went to I did a lot of market research. I went to other cleaning companies' websites and took from them what I liked about their website, and added to mine. And I would say also for advice is to for like a budding entrepreneur is to do a lot of market research, like look at what others are doing. And also I feel like one thing that has made me like super successful in this business is that I always put myself in the shoes of the consumer. So how would I want to be treated if I had an issue with the company? How do I want to be talked to? Like, how do I want my issue handled? Like, what companies have I worked with in the past that I was just completely blown away by their customer service, that I was just like, I'll always, you know, use this brand or something like that. When you put yourself in like that state of mind and that like position, you know how to like treat people better and like, you know how to resolve issues better because you're not just focused on like the money aspect. You're focused on like retaining this customer and fixing whatever issue it is so that they're happy.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of businesses sometimes fall short in that customer service area because they don't put themselves in the shoes of the customer. Like, you know, no one wants to be talked to rudely. No one wants to be dismissed. Like they want you to figure out their problem, like figure out the issue and solve their problem. And I tried to like go hard with customer service because that is the thing that keeps me, like, even if we screw up an entire cleaning, if my customer service is on point, that customer will stay with us and they'll still tell their friends because they remember like the experience that they had with the owner of the company.
A training I attended recently, what was said is to fall in love with your client, not your product. You're going to sell the product is going to be there, but if you know exactly what your client wants, like you said, putting yourself in that person's shoes, you fall in love with them, you internalize their experience, become them, put yourself in their shoes, and that's how your business becomes successful.
Absolutely. Because we actually had a excuse me, so a couple of people that I know actually started cleaning businesses as well. And we all were in the same cohort last year, but there's been additional cohorts since then. And a lot of those who came after us tend to ask a lot of questions like, well, how did you do this? And how did you do that? And da, da, da. And one thing that came up recently was this young lady was inquiring about how to keep staff. And we were, you know, kind of asking her some questions like, okay, well, what's your pay like? And when she mentioned the pay, it was like super low. And we're like, okay, well, that's, you know, one of the issues right there. Like no one's going to work for low pay, especially like cleaning is manual labor and it's pretty intensive. And she was saying, well, you know, I have so many expenses, like, and I have to make sure I like my profit margin is, and we were like, no. Do not focus on profit the first year. Like you need to focus on establishing your relationship. Your reputation, as well as relationships with your customers. Because I can't remember the exact value, but I want to say when we were taking the class, it was like a customer is worth about like $3,000 a year. So you want to focus on that recurring customer that's going to put a dent in your business versus making profit off of one person. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I always tell people like, do not focus on profit. Like, yeah, profit is a nice thing to have, and we're not just doing things, for the hell of it and not getting compensated for it. But you have to really focus on creating something that sticks before you can really worry about profit. Because if your service or product sucks, like, it doesn't matter if 100 people buy it or use it and then they all return it or they all want a refund. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to provide something that's quality enough that people want to stick with it. People want to continue to use it every month. People want to tell their friends about it. And I just feel like focusing on profit is not going to get you there initially. And the profit will come. It doesn't, I can't remember what the statistics are, but it's just like I think it's most small businesses fail within the first 5 years.
Yep, that's right.
And it's typically those businesses that focus on profit and not like building their like consumer base and the relationships and, morals. Like, customers like to see companies with morals and companies that, share the same morals and values as them. If you don't have those, you're just kind of like, I want the money. It's not gonna stick.
And in my opinion, also in many cases, when you're focusing on money, you're not focusing on profit. You're focusing on the lack, what I don't have. That's exactly what the lady said to you. I got this overhead, I got this, I got that. So she's focusing on what she doesn't have rather than having a prosperity mindset where you're falling in love with your customer, providing a service, creating real value
Right.
to create that prosperity. So when you're focusing on money, it really is a lack mindset rather than a growth mindset.
That is a great way to put it. Yes, I agree 100%. I gotta start using that. I love that.
I just want you to know that I'm going to always be a supporter. I'll always be
Thank you.
periodically to see how I can help. And
I appreciate that so much.
oh yes, I appreciate your hospitality. Every time I was in Haiti, I appreciate just your spirit, your welcoming spirit. Um,
Thank you.
you're welcome. And so, speaking of Haiti, as you were talking earlier about Facebook groups and connecting, I would have never gone to Haiti had it not been for Facebook groups. Um, so Nomad, I would not have,
No madness. Yep.
right, I would not have visited, I would not have had the courage to take solo trips or to see as many of the states that I have seen independently. Because, like you said, when you listen to people,
Same.
there were so many people in the Nomadness groups like, go do it. This is what you can do. Giving, like Clubhouse, giving you free information because they love travel and telling you don't listen to anybody else.
Yep.
Live
Yep.
your
That's
best
that's the same for me too. Yep. I would say like no madness like changed my life when it came to traveling, because I met so many people that were doing the same thing and wanted to see all these places. And I went on my first solo trip to what you call it, Bogota, Colombia, because of no madness. I had got a flight deal. And just like being able to just travel with like-minded people and people who are just as interested. I probably wouldn't have went to half the destinations that I've been to so far if it hadn't been for No Madness. So it kind of just opens up a whole new world for you.
yes.
But yeah, I agree 100%.
And not just like-minded, bold as people who like doing things like I've never even thought about. It's like, what?
But like even our Central Pay trip, I never in a million years like imagine myself on like a yacht in the south of France
Yeah.
sipping rosé. Like it just sounds so like out of this world. Like I never ever, even our Maldives trip we just came from, like that was like a once in a lifetime trip to me. And like if you ask me like when I graduated college at like 2007, like if I ever saw myself traveling to like Maldives or just anywhere that's far and exotic and expensive, I probably would have just never predicted that. Like it's just always looked at someplace that was just so nice and extravagant, and probably honeymooners go there, but I'll probably never make it there because it probably just costs so much money. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now it's like literally like I can go anywhere I want. Like
Yes, the
I
world.
can visit anywhere.
Yeah, yes. So, will you tell people how they can find you?
I would say the easiest is Instagram, Poyesha, Poyesha. because in my Instagram profile, there's also links to everything that I have. So both my No More Dust Maid Services, as well as Good Vibes Dinner Parties, as well as Haitian Nomad, is in my profile. So for the cleaning company, it's because it's No More Dust, it's NMD Maid Services, NMD MAIDSERVICES.com.
So thank you for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it.
You are so welcome. I appreciate you having me on here. It was a great discussion. And I'm looking forward to seeing the episode posted.
I wish you so much success in all that you endeavor.
Thank you.